Google is killing the three-pack. AI is stealing your traffic. Fake reviews are turning into blackmail. If your local SEO strategy looks like it did in 2024, you are probably already behind. Welcome to 2026. Even though it hasn't started yet, visibility is going to be pay to play. AI is basically outranking your homepage, and one fake review could cost you thousands. I'm here today with SEO legends, Luke Durand and Darren Shaw, and we're going to basically try and pull back the curtain on what is happening lately to small businesses, and to show you guys basically how you need to adapt to some of these changes that Google is making before it's too late. So, Darren, just wanted to make sure you welcome everybody.
Hi.
In case they don't know you, tell them who you are.
Hi, I'm Darren Shaw. I'm the founder of Whitespark, and I'm a guy who does local SEO stuff for a very long time. So you may be familiar with me, and our company has awesome software and services that you should go and buy there. How about
that? Luke.
Hey guys, I'm Luke Durand. I'm the founder of Ranking Academy. I've also been doing local SEO for quite some time, and you've probably seen my face on YouTube if you're interested in local SEO. And I'm really looking forward to today's session.
Awesome. Well, I'm really glad you guys are here. We have some kind of interesting stuff to share that I've been compiling over the last month or two. This is all really recent things that we have been seeing with small businesses. And I'm not going to lie, it's not great. I'm not super happy about any of this stuff. And I'm really excited to discuss kind of action plans based on some of the trends we're seeing. So I'm going to actually get Richard to pull up some slides that I've got here, just showing some visuals of what exactly we are talking about. So we partnered with Geotagging to get this data. They basically looked at 179 different law firms. And the reason why I chose the legal industry is that some of the changes I'm going to talk about are more dramatic in that industry than some of the others. That being said, we are seeing this pattern across pretty much every industry. I haven't seen any that are exempt yet, although I'm sure there are some that exist, as we don't work with every industry. So what this graph shows is basically calls from Google Business Profiles over the last 2 years. So starting at the beginning of 2024, all the way to 2025. And you'll just see this trend is down. Like it's dropping, it's going down, down, down. And dramatically this year, right? The trend downwards kind of started in 2025. So I'm seeing a lot of threads on forums. Like this has come up on the local search forum, Reddit, Facebook groups. There was a guy actually, I think yesterday or the day before, that I was talking to in a Facebook group who was like, I've hired 3 SEO companies this year. It's not a good idea. But he's like, nobody can increase my calls. And I look, and the guy's still ranking very well. Like he's in a space that I'm well familiar with. He's a home service business. He is like the number 2 guy in his market, yet his calls are declining. So he's basically talking about this exact trend here. Luke, I'm curious to know if you've heard about this trend yourself. Like, have you been hearing business owners complaining about like drops in calls? Specifically from business?
Not just hearing them. You can obviously see that in the results. They're getting less leads directly from Google. And I think overall the traffic to either their website or they show up on Google search results has been declining steadily over the past 12 months. So yeah, it's definitely a trend that's pretty obvious to see, and there are many reasons behind it. It's an obvious trend.
Yeah, Darren, what about you?
Yeah, same. All over the forums, lots of people talking about how local search isn't as effective as it used to be, and they're not wrong. And this chart's great. I think it's a really smart way to demonstrate what's happening. And it is true. The local pack is lower down on the page than it used to be. It's, you've got the AI overviews that are taking over some of the positions. You've got definitely local services ads. So in any of these industries where there's local services ads, so many calls are going to that because, it kind of looks like a local pack. It's got the stars and the picture and people are clicking on it. And if this is legal, then I can confirm with our legal clients, we're seeing the exact same thing. And we are, as an agency, really leaning into local services ads now because we got to. That's where a lot of the leads are coming from.
Yeah. 100%. I've actually got some slides coming up on that. Because you kind of nailed it, Darren. That is one of the reasons why this is happening. I think that the thing is Google is still number one. Like it's still, even though it's declining the amount of traffic that you'll get from a Google business profile, we still see it's like nothing else comes close to driving this much traffic, right? So it's still got that like number one spot. So I do not think SEO is dead, just to clarify.
No,
but I do think
still lots of leads to be had.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Diversifying, however, is becoming more necessary than before, right? So if this is your only plan for your leads for your business, which I hear that story all the time on the forum, people are like, my listing got suspended, I can't pay my employees. Like that is a big problem if you are a business in that position. So don't be that. All right, go to the next slide, Richard. So I'm going to basically talk about this other trend that we are seeing, which are these AI-powered local packs. I just kind of call them AI local packs. I don't know, they don't really have a name, but that's what I'm calling them. They usually show up specifically just on mobile. So I have yet to see this on desktop anywhere. Also, another big important thing, only in the US. So I can only trigger these if I put on my US VPN. Nobody in Europe that I talked to has seen them. But I do think they're coming to the rest of the world. And how often these are showing up in the United States, we had Places Scout run looking at 1,200 reports that we have with them, and they're showing up on about 8% of queries. That is up from 7% a couple weeks ago, so it is rising. And we see this on all kinds of different verticals. At first, it was like in just one or two. We're seeing it all across the board, like electricians, lawyers, garage door, like home services across the board, but we're seeing it with dentists as well, elder care, lots of other industries. Luke, have you seen these? Well, I know you're not.
I haven't.
Here.
I haven't. Being in the UK, I was in France as well not long ago, and I haven't seen any of these appearing at all. So what are they made of?
Yeah. So they are basically like AI powered. Google tries to match the business information with a profile. So when you click on it, like if you just click the white space, it takes you to the business profile. But if you click on that like tiny little link button, it'll take you to the website. And it's like tiny. Like imagine trying to find that button on a phone.
Okay.
Like I don't think anybody's clicking those. But it replaces the local pack. Like when these are present, I think I've seen like one example where there was still a local pack, but all the others I've seen, this replaces the local pack. And traditionally it shows, actually, I should have picked a different screenshot. This one's nice. It shows 3. Usually it's 1.5 before you click more. So this one is already expanded to show 3, but traditionally it shows 1.5 at the top. You see the entire first one and half the second one. So the visibility for most businesses is like cut dramatically. Darren, I know you're in Canada, so have you seen any of these?
No, haven't seen it yet. I feel it. I've seen like AI results, like or sort of like local pack looking result in AI mode. So if you run AI mode, you can see you can trigger some of these AI local packs. They are interesting. Have you compared like, okay, this search, how does it look here versus like the local pack? Totally different results, probably. That's what I would expect. Yeah.
Yeah. So not only are the results different, the patterns are different, like ranking patterns. So if you look at it on a grid, and I'll share some of these after this is done on LinkedIn and X. But the patterns are like, typically you have a grid and you get green, yellow, red, right? You have that lovely trifecta that is really easy for people to digest. With these, Places Scout has the ability to track these now because I got them to add it in, but they're like dots, like it's like green, green, red, green, red, green, red. And then you run the scan like a week later and it's totally different. The only consistent thing is that the same businesses like have around the same visibility. So if we're doing this for SEO and Whitespark is dominating, you're probably going to show up like for 30% of one and 30% of the other, but not the same pins and not in order. So it's confusing.
Yeah, I found that with like any LLM based results, it's just super random. It's like you run the same query, 10 minutes later, you get different results. And so I wouldn't be surprised to see something similar here. And actually, we noticed that they've done that in the local services ads as well. Like the local services ads used to absolutely be dominated by the top players. And now Google's like, well, we want everyone to have a chance at the spin of the wheel to get some leads. And so I think we're going to see that more and more coming with these AI results. And so one of the things I like about this is that it is different. So us local SEOs get a whole new thing to figure out and try and solve and help clients with. So it's kind of an exciting time in SEO, but also a pain because we're like, oh man, we already had this stuff figured out. Now we have to figure out new stuff.
It's certainly different. So the businesses that dominate are different than
Yep.
the local pack. We're doing analysis on like some of our clients, and if they had like a competitor that dominated local pack rankings, there's a lot of overlap, but it is not the same. I saw one that was like, I don't know, the guy had like 80 different local pack rankings across the grid, and he has 0 of these.
Right.
But
Well,
there
that's
are
an exciting case to look into because you're like, what?
exactly.
What's he doing wrong? Yeah.
I know. I have theories, but like I'm not, it's so early. There's no way I'm like going to actually state any of them.
Yeah.
Because they're probably wrong.
Yeah.
But the interesting thing is that like there are dominant businesses. So in this case, like Blake and Dorsey, let's just use them as an example. If they show up like, you know, in 50 different pins on this scan, they will probably show up in like 40 or 50 on the next scan I do as well, or something in that range. So it's not random. It's not like Google's just rotating. It's still like looking at factors. It's just not, it's not as crazy as ChatGPT. I'll say that much. ChatGPT is like literally like just different every time you search.
I know. Yeah. The one question I really wonder about this is if I click this and then I click the call, will they get tracked in the GBP performance section?
It should, because it takes you straight to the.
It does take you to the profile. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, because we wouldn't want to lose that data.
No. I will tell you that we have a business that has had these for a month now, consistently in their market for their top terms, and their traffic is way down for those terms. Right. So it is not good. Like, I don't think this is good for anybody other than Google's advertisers. So that is my summary on these so far.
Well, it kind of makes sense, right? Like if you can squeeze the small businesses and make them not get enough leads out of this, they'll be like, I guess I'm going to sign up for them local services ads.
I think ultimately that's the goal, right? I mean, up to this point, Google hasn't really monetized the local SEO sphere. And you can see based on the results that the local service ads are being ramped up. It's not across all industries, but it will be that way, I'm sure. And then they're just cashing in on the real estate, and that's why everything is being pushed down. To me, that's the only name of the game as far as they are concerned. They're not really worried about giving a chance to everyone to rank number one. They just want to generate more revenue. It's pretty straightforward, and pushing those organic results further down is one of the strategies that they're using to do that.
So I want to elaborate. There was a good question that came in here, like, why is it only good for advertisers? There's a couple things that are fundamentally different about these. Big one, no call button, right? You have to now click further to get a call button, which is just more friction. Guess what still has call buttons? All the local service ads and regular ads. They all have giant call buttons on them, and they are above this. So again, I have some data coming up. So that is kind of the trend that we are noticing. Our local service ads dashboard, we have a dashboard that just shows the number of leads for across all the accounts. It's like it is a mountain this year. So lots more leads coming to people that are advertising on Google, which is, again, great for Google, maybe not great for the average small business. Richard, pull up the next one. So speaking of ads, this is another trend that we are seeing, and I wasn't quite expecting it to be this dramatic when I had them run this. Again, across 1,200 reports, this is how often Google showed an ad in the local pack compared to January. So January is like 1%, and you see like, 1% time. We didn't used to see these like often, and now come November, it's like 14% of the time. And I have an example on the next slide showing what we're talking about here, just in case anybody's like not sure what I'm referring to when I talk about local pack ads. Let me just advance the slide here. So these are some examples. So the local service ads are the one in the middle there. So those are local service ads. They're on the top. And then down below, you have the local pack. That first one there for Rise Roofing, that is an ad. They don't really even look like ads. They're well hidden. Yeah. We pretty much see these like constantly on local packs on mobile, like a lot. 17% of the time on all the 1,200 reports, I feel like I always see them. Clearly, it's not 100% of the time, but they have increased dramatically. And I can tell you from looking at ads accounts, because these are traditional ads, not local service ads. The traditional ads accounts also look bonkers over the last few months. Their conversion rates are higher, their cost per lead is lower, their number of conversions is higher. So this is a win for anybody that is running traditional Google ads. Probably not a win, or I can say definitely not a win for whoever's number one in the local pack.
I saw, so if you click through to more businesses, I'm now seeing quite often 3 ads at the top of the, what we call the local finder, right? So if you click more business, you get the local finder, not maps. And in that, I've been seeing 3, like the first 3 results are sponsored. I'm like, man, I don't think I've ever seen that before. Sometimes 2, but 3 feels new. Yeah.
It's ridiculous. Like there are so many, and they look so good. I was actually like, one of my colleagues was like, clicked on one the other day. He's like, shoot, I didn't realize that's an ad. I don't want to click on that. And I'm like, it's fine.
Yeah.
It's like, it's okay to click on ads, guys. But yeah, it was an ad.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to try and take some of these questions because there's a lot pouring in here. So Darren, you said that your agency offers LSAs. So can you comment on what value an agency will add?
To manage LSAs, the big there's lots of value. If you look at the recent 2026 local search ranking factors, I probably should have mentioned that in my intro, but I run the local search ranking factors survey, originally developed by David Mim, and I've been doing it since 2017. And so we get to understand what drives local pack rankings, and one of the sections is what drives local services ads rankings. And so how do you get more visibility on local services ads? And so as an agency, you provide a ton of value to the clients because it's a messy, complicated system, right? There are lots of nuances to it. There is a lot of work to do and maintenance and management of it in order to continue to be positioned well in those local services ads. Like GS exterior experts there, right? They want to be in that one position, because if you're not there, we actually see it with our legal clients. Once they fall out of the LSAs, the leads dry right up, and it's sad. And so it's a constant like battle to be getting them in that top position. And it's like, oh wow, we were sitting at the top of the LSAs all day, and we got 30 leads and closed 4 cases. That is massive money for all these like personal injury lawyers, right? So just so much value to be added. There's so many little nuances. If you look at the 2026 local search ranking factors, you will see the list of local service ads ranking factors, which that's the kind of stuff you're going to help your clients with. So it's just developing processes, managing their account for them, lots of consulting with them, helping them with response times, helping them review strategy is part of it. So there's a lot of crossover with the kind of stuff you're doing with local SEO. But it's just an easy roll into your existing local search services. And in 2026, it's required. You've got to start doing it. Otherwise, you're not really providing. Because what do the businesses care about? They don't care that to rank number 1 in the local pack if it's not driving any leads. They only care about leads. So you must be the agency that is providing those leads wherever they're coming from. And if you don't, then it's not ideal for your business.
Yeah, and I think you've got a very good point here. Is just any kind of small business you're going to talk to, leads are what matter, right?
Yeah.
Because that's your bread and butter. That's where you're going to make money, right? You could be ranking number 1 all you want, but if it doesn't generate leads, then what have you got to work with? And then it's making sure that you're able to find out where those leads are coming from and doubling down on those sources. And the map pack is there to stay, but it will drive less leads. It's just as simple as that, right? But Google is not going to make it disappear altogether, because that's their business model, is still to offer this organic possibility. It's almost like a hook for businesses to say, hey, come on in, and we're going to give you a chance to generate some clients. And by the way, if you want more of these, well, you're going to have to pay, basically. I think that's pretty much the way it is, right?
Yeah, you kind of answered this question before I could prompt you on it, but yeah, like your advice to agencies or businesses when Google is kind of working against their SEO efforts, what would you say, like 2026, they should invest more in paid?
You asking me or Luke?
I was asking Luke, sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Well, if you have the budget, and this is going to be a major issue for a lot of business owners because local ads, they're expensive. Yeah. And then not everyone has the budget to invest in them. And therefore, I think a lot of people are going to suffer if they don't decide to invest in those local ads. And it's going to be whoever's got the budget will win all the leads, right? There's only so much market share that you can go after, and many business owners rely on the organic route exclusively. But if they don't change their game, then they're going to be squeezed out, basically.
And this is the data, just so you guys know, for LSAs specifically, because I was looking, the other charts were ads in the local pack. These are local service ads, how often they appear. And I'll tell you, like, it's actually a little worse than what this chart is showing, because we're also seeing in some cases, there used to be 2 local service ads. Now there's 3. So it's like, not only are they showing up more often, but they are also showing more businesses, so taking up more real estate. I think I've got a visual example here. This was like a search result last November where you've got like 1 ad, then you've got the local pack. Now you've got 3 local service ads, a regular ad, a 3-pack ad, and a 3-pack. Like, just wild. This is the reality for lots of businesses. This is why I love looking at screenshots of SERPs, because ranking positions didn't change for a lot of these businesses, yet their leads are down and they're wondering why. Like, guys, this is why.
But it follows the same trend as the broader SEO that we used to see many years ago when Google firstly introduced, paid ads. It started with 1, then 2, then 3, and this is following the exact same path. So and the amount of organic traffic that you're getting shrinks further and further.
Yeah, we have, okay, I'm going to go through more questions here. So do the results mirror, I think this is referring to the AI powered local packs, what was in the local pack? They do not the same businesses. There's certainly overlap. I'd love to get some data around how much overlap. So I'll probably get that once this has been around for a few months, but they are certainly different. Darren, since you talked about the survey dictating ranking factors, can you maybe comment on, like, if you remember, what were some of the ranking factors for local service ads?
Yeah, sure. Budget is number 1. Like, if you're not paying enough, then you're not going to rank. So
Wow.
you tell Google that I would be willing to pay $1 million for that click, and it helps. But it's not everything. I would say reviews is probably one of the strongest things that we see. So once review recency, we've talked about that in the local search results, the local packs, but review recency being important for that. But it's also extremely important for local services ads. Now that your local SA profile is directly connected to the reviews on your Google business profile, you get an influx of reviews. It generally tend to rank ranking is a weird thing. You don't really want to talk about rankings in the local services ads because there's a lot of randomization happening. They rotate through businesses deliberately, but you will get more lead volume. Let's talk about it. Lead volume. How do you increase lead volume in local ads? And that would be reviews being a huge thing, specifically recency. Response times, absolutely critical. You must respond very fast. And I would say for me, the other one that I really am focusing on is how you handle the calls and the messages. So when a call comes in, it's being routed through Google system, and all of that is being listened to and transcribed. And they are looking for sentiment. They're looking for signals in there. They're using their AI to understand what are you saying on that call, and whether or not, this is the really big thing, are you easy to work with and accepting the leads? It's almost like you're saying to Google, I don't want these leads. So if you get on a call with the lead and someone's calling about just fixing 1 shingle on their roof, and you're like, well, we're not going to come all the way out and do 1 shingle. Bye. you don't close the lead. That is potentially a bad signal for Google. And so the strategy that I advise is, if it's a case where you're like, yeah, we're definitely not doing this small job, or it's just, it doesn't fit for our business, I don't love to decline that on the call. I'll say, let me just speak to my manager, and we'll get back to you within 5 minutes. Can I take your information down, and we'll get back to you. And then you reply to them. You still have to pay for that lead from Google, which is annoying, but I think it's a signal that can hurt you if you're declining a lot of these jobs on the calls.
And I've got a question for you, Darren, because I worked with some clients who decided to embrace the local service ads, and they stopped because of the quality of the leads they were getting. And they were ending up spending quite a bit of money, but not getting the best jobs. And then they basically turned it down. And we were talking about £20 per lead, which is about $30, I assume, or something along those lines, which is
what a deal. I've never heard of leads that cheap on LSAs, but yeah, keep going.
It was, there was a lot of discrepancy between the calls they were receiving and the quality leads that they were getting. It. So in the end, they just gave up.
Well, there's some settings. So there are some settings. There's one option to like in legal anyways. There's like general law. You turn that off because you're like, oh, hi. If you're a personal injury lawyer, you do not want to be having this like general thing turned on.
Of course.
And then there's there's a whole services section. You turn on the services that you actually.
But even then, some of these are still remain fairly broad, and you're still getting a lot of not very good calls. So I think your strategy of the way you handle the calls is an important one, but you still get charged.
Client will quit LSAs because now they have to pay for it. Honestly, LSAs, they are going to be very valuable and profitable for personal injury lawyers because the cases that they close are worth so much money. But if we're talking about an appliance repair guy who's making $200 to go out for a call, and he paid $50 to Google for the lead, that guy's going to be like, this is some BS. I'm not doing it.
And that's what I'm talking about. This is the type of people I was working with, and they were just getting those leads and thinking, I'm not interested in that. It's costing me 20% or more off the actual final ticket value, and then so it's not worth it.
It is a challenge for sure in home services. I think that, but it depends on the home service. Like roofers, I think, are still pretty happy with local services ads because they're going to make like 10, 15, 20K on a job to go and redo a roof, right? And so they'd be like, okay, I'll pay Google $300 for a lead. But in smaller like painters and handyman and appliance repair, where the ticket value of the job is not high enough, then LSAs become a tough pill to swallow.
Yeah, I would say in those cases, like I'd push people towards traditional ads if there's job types or keywords that are specifically bigger for them. So like, I think I had this conversation with one of my colleagues about an electrician client, because he was like getting all these leads from jobs that are like cheap little electrical jobs that he doesn't want. He wants like the rewiring of new houses or like generator installations. And I'm like, yeah, of course you do. Those are like big ticket items. But that's where you can like customize with regular ads. So I would suggest maybe going that route. I think a lot of people just assumed that regular ads were like, dying. And so they're just doing local service ads. And that is certainly not true.
Joy, I'm curious about your thoughts on this idea. So let's say you are an electrician and you really just want the big jobs, right? And so you got to run the LSAs because Google has decreased your lead volume on the local packs. And so now you're running the LSAs. You only want the big jobs. You don't want to pay Google for the small jobs. What if you took your website and just hyper-focused only on the big jobs? You don't talk about small job. You don't talk about residential. You really just like, my whole website is only focused on these two main things that I want. Would that, I'm just like trying to figure out the connection between LSAs and your website content in a way that like Google will be like, oh, okay, well, this business is really only about these things, so we won't send them the crappy small job leads. This is theory.
I don't think I would be really too worried about the SEO implications of like removing all of that content off your
Yeah.
site because
Yeah.
you know Google looks for like the words and things that they relate to your industry, and if you remove all those things, you're probably going to tank. That sounds risky. If you want to test it, Darren, feel free and let me know. Okay.
Well, any electricians out there, send me an email and I'll destroy your website just in the sake of testing LSAs.
So we have a lot more questions on here. Is there a way to specifically target the local pack ads? There isn't, unfortunately.
So
I think the
annoying.
more specific your keywords are, the better. But you do need to make sure you have a location asset added. That used to be called location extensions. And then a big tip that I don't see a lot of people doing is that in your Google business profile, if you go to settings, it's like hidden. There's this field called advanced phone. I think it's called like, or ads phone number. I forget, they changed the name of it. But it's like ads phone number or ad extension phone number. And it's hidden under the same spot that you go to like add new users. If you put a tracking phone number in there, you can actually track calls that happen off 3-pack ads specifically. So definitely set that up. Most people don't do this. And you can actually see how many calls it's generating. So we do this for clients, and I can tell you like there's a lot of calls that happen off these ads. So they can be really great, but the tracking of them, it's not very intuitive. So a lot of people don't realize that's the best way to track them.
Yeah. Google Ads phone number. It's under, you click the ... and then you click business profile settings, and then you go advanced, and it's Google Ads phone number.
Yeah, and for this question, the difference, like how to tell the difference, I shared a screenshot, but like local service ads are usually in a pack together, and they're labeled. They have a label like Google Guarantee usually, or a few other labels, and then local pack ads are in the organic local pack section, and there's usually just one. Although I don't know, have you seen more than one? I've only ever seen one.
In
Watch,
the
that's
pack?
coming.
I've only seen one in the pack. But,
Next year, they're gonna have two. No, I'm kidding.
Are we not local SEOs? We're
Yeah.
spending a lot of time talking about ads.
I know
Google
the
has
question.
forced our hand here.
I know. I'm sorry.
What does
guys.
that tell you, eh?
Yeah.
All the questions I'm getting, I don't know if anybody knows the answer to this one. I certainly don't. Does having 2 cards on file matter for ads? Like 2
Credit cards?
credit cards? Yeah, I assume.
I don't think so.
Here's a good question. At what point do users just revolt and stop using Google because of all the
Never.
ads?
That's never going to happen.
I don't think so. This is more of an agency question. I definitely have an answer for this, but I'm curious if you guys do it differently. Are you bundling LSA with local SEO? So typically no. However, we are literally telling clients that don't have local service ads, if they want us to use part of their SEO budget towards that now, we can. And we're just going to do whatever gets them ROI. If that means spending our time and effort setting up local service ads accounts, then we are going to do that.
Yeah, we do it separately. We don't even market it yet. It's just like we're kind of like building our SOPs and our processes right now, and we have a handful of clients that we're managing them for, but it's not. We don't even publicly promote that that's a service we offer yet. Coming soon.
Here's a non-ads question. I'll try and stop. I'll stop taking all the ads questions. All right, Luke, do reviews make a difference in coming up in the local pack?
Yes, they do. Of course, they do. We've obviously mentioned that before. I think the mistake people make is just focusing on volume alone, because there are other characteristics of reviews that you need to take into consideration. More specifically, as Darren mentioned, recency of reviews. So if you had 1,000 reviews and you stopped asking for reviews for 6 months, then it's likely that it's going to impact the way you appear in Google search results. So it's a continuous effort. The numbers matter, but also the recency and the steady growth of it. So it's not about having 10 reviews every 2 weeks. It's kind of like making sure that it's naturally coming in. So it's an ongoing effort, and you should definitely include that as part of your marketing strategy. Every time you deal with clients, make sure you ask. Whichever way you decide to ask, it's up to you. There are many ways of approaching that, but yeah, it matters a great deal.
Okay. Here's a non-ads question. Is anybody having issues with posting updates? So I'm assuming this is talking about Google Posts. I don't really do Google Posts, so curious if you guys have had any issues lately with these.
I love Google Posts. in contrast to Joy, I definitely do Google Posts. We do that as part of our local SEO services. So weekly posts is a big part of what we do. We create the content, we create the images, and we do posts for our clients. No, I do not think that Google Posts have any impact on LSA success. And I have not had any issues with posting updates.
Okay.
Me neither.
Yeah, haven't
Nope.
seen any bugs on that. There are a couple current bugs. I'll just tell people in case they're experiencing them. One is there's a technical issue for saving edits on a business profile. So if you like go to save your edit and it doesn't publish or makes you scroll down the bottom of the page, that is an ongoing bug that hasn't been fixed, and it's been open for like about a month. The other one that's open right now is reviews missing. Lots and lots of businesses are like, oh my God, I had 200 reviews yesterday and they were all deleted last night, yada, yada. Google actually came out with something either yesterday or the day before saying, hey, sorry, we're going to have delays on any escalations related to reviews or any cases related to reviews because they're so backlogged. So that really sucks. But if it's happened to you, I'm hoping Google will be restoring some of these. The fact that like it appears to be a technical issue is hopefully good. All right, here's a question about verification issues. Have you guys seen an increase in those?
Well, that's really one for you, Joy, since you are the Google Business Profile product expert on the panel. I don't think I've seen it, but what do you see on the forums?
So there's one trend we've noticed, which is categories being changed have been more likely to trigger verifications, which is a tad annoying. We actually had our team like stop doing it for a bit. It seems to have calmed down. So with the last few we've done have gone through okay, but we had like a couple clients get pushed into re-verification by just changing their categories, which is ridiculous.
That's too bad for those seasonal businesses.
Well, yeah, that's what I was thinking. So then we had some seasonal businesses and we're like, well, it's winter, so we're going to do it anyways. And they were fine.
Worth it.
So,
yeah.
Yeah.
And then video verification. That's what you got to do.
Yeah. Yeah. It's super annoying. Verification issues are probably one of the top things that I see threads on always in the business profile community. So always annoying. Someone was asking about the diversity update. So, that is another thing that could be responsible for a decrease in organic traffic. We've been talking mainly about local packs and Google Business Profiles getting less traffic, but another real reality is less organic traffic too. I've looked at some of our clients' search consoles, especially ones that have blogs, and it's like this, like, whoo, like big, like dip, especially as of like the summer. Whenever AI overviews kind of rolled out globally, they have that giant thing. And the diversity update is essentially Google will push down your organic results if they see you rank high in the local pack. So I wrote in length about this earlier this year. There's a video on it. That certainly is another thing that is hurting organic traffic. Will not hurt your local pack traffic, to be clear. All right. Are these results from AI mode? I just wanted to clarify, no, this is totally separate. AI mode is something that we really don't have a good way to track yet. Like, I don't know if you guys have been experimenting with it, but I have absolutely no idea how many people are using AI mode to find local businesses.
Not very many.
Okay. What makes you say that?
It's just like kind of hidden. So, you know, that like row of options at the top. So you run a query and then you can go to images, maps, news, etc., tools. AI mode is in there, but like the general public is not clicking that. So I just think it's very unlikely that your AI mode is generating stuff. Dr. Pete just published a very good article on what's called WebGuide. And WebGuide is definitely looking like that is what the future of an AI sort of hybrid search results on Google will look like. So they're partly AI, partly traditional results. All the ads are there for Google to continue making money. I really think that will be the future of how AI gets integrated into search results. So if you're not exploring WebGuide yet, that's, I think, where you need to look. But I don't think AI mode has much of an impact on driving leads right now.
Yeah. Okay. This one's like, I feel like somebody's trolling us. Who wants to answer this?
Oh, wait, let me see. Who should take that one? Okay, so
I can't believe people are still asking these questions, and I'm not dissing anyone.
Yeah.
It's just like, my God, you know.
I do wonder if you're trolling or if you're serious, because there are people that are serious about this. And
I'm sure. I'm
no,
sure.
they were never a valid strategy. They continue to not be a valid strategy. They've been tested many times. Actually, I just came across a really awesome new test where they just were so exhaustive with it. Jake Hunley did a awesome test on geotagging recently, and again, wow, big surprise, they don't do anything. So yeah, they really are. I think they do always come in every year in the local search ranking factors as the #1 local search myth, as like, but you know why people like it? Because it sounds like there's a secret place you can put your keywords in your images in the metadata, and then you put that on Google and ta-da, ranking #1. It just sounds cool, so people love to talk about it on TikTok and YouTube, but it's BS. It is a waste of time. Don't do it.
All right, we got to talk about threat number 2, which is kind of the elephant in the room. We need to talk about AI platforms outside of Google, because that was all the hype earlier this year. Everyone's like, Google screwed. Everything is going to be taking over. You know, people are going to go to like AI chatbots. ChatGPT obviously comes to mind as one of the biggest contenders.
Yep.
And I would like to know what actually happened this year compared to last year. What have you guys seen as far as other traffic sources that are driving business to small businesses? Luke, let's start with you.
Well, I think that now you can see traffic being referred to a website coming directly from third-party AI tools, more specifically something like ChatGPT, which didn't happen before. So it's an interesting thing to observe, to see that now some conversions are also being made directly from ChatGPT once people have reached the website. So it's still very minimum, but it's growing, and I believe it's there to stay, and it's going to increase over time. Google is clearly fighting back with the recent release of Gemini 3, which apparently is better than ChatGPT, but nevertheless, I think the behavior of the users and the way they're searching is definitely changing. And therefore, those tools need to be taken into consideration. And since something like ChatGPT was first on the market, I think they seized a lot of those market shares, and people are getting used to using those tools. And there'll be more and more traffic coming from those tools. So they're not to be ignored. So yeah, and I can see that through the analytics of some of the clients that I deal with.
Yeah, Darren, anything to add? What kind of traffic are you seeing from, or I should say traffic leads?
Yeah, I actually think traffic is becoming less and less of a trustworthy metric. It is like traffic. I don't know, like, how much traffic are we driving? It's just, this is like mysterious metric where it's hard to really track performance based on traffic to your website, or, you know, impressions on your Google business profile. So the main thing that I really want every business to do is to ask every new prospect, how did you hear about us? That's where you really get the insights about where your leads are coming from. And so if they say Google, then you got to ask a little bit more and be like, okay, was it the ad? Was it the local pack? What was it, right? And that even could be Gemini, it could be AI mode. And so asking a little bit more information, but we definitely see leads coming from ChatGPT. It exists.
Like for you guys, right? Or for your clients?
Both, yeah. Our clients will get it too. And sometimes I even see it coming in like a contact form. So we track all the referral sources through our contact forms, and it'll say UTM source ChatGPT. We do see those come in. So they actually do come in for our clients. We always ask, how did you hear about us? And we see a trickle of people saying, yeah, found you on ChatGPT. So it does exist as a lead source. For Whitespark, like one of the biggest ones, how did you hear about us, is YouTube. It's like, oh yeah, our YouTube channel. You know, I came across Darren's videos on YouTube on the Whitespark YouTube channel, and so then they're like, oh, this company sounds like they know what they're doing, and then they call us. And so I do think that's a very interesting diversification strategy for 2026, which is like, you know, we all three of us, we know how important and valuable that sort of being an influencer is. I think that every small business needs to embrace that mindset too, and they need to start considering being an influencer in their industry, in their market. That is really helpful. And making a YouTube channel and creating content is sort of the thing. As you talked about at the very beginning, Joy, the leads from the local pack is shrinking, and I think that trend will continue. And so diversifying across ads, LLM optimization, trying to make sure that you're optimized for Gemini and ChatGPT, and starting to get like a video strategy, starting to get involved in Reddit threads. It's just like you got to diversify at this point, right?
Yeah, which is actually the third threat that I had was like, where do you go to get more traffic if traffic is dwindling from Google, or where do you fill those holes? So Luke here is like, I swear, the king of YouTube. So as someone who has like the biggest channel in SEO, Luke, I'm curious, obviously how much work it takes to have a successful YouTube channel. You get it. Have you seen or have you helped any small businesses get to maybe not the level that you're at, but like something good where it's actually generating leads for them?
Yeah, I've actually encouraged one of my clients to do that, because I think the biggest obstacle for those small businesses is to be in front of the camera. That's the very big step. Once they've decided to go ahead, they get some great results. And this client I'm talking about in particular, he's doing great. So he's getting some leads through YouTube. He's launched his channel. I was pushing him to launch a channel, and he launched it about 18 months ago. And the massive value behind that is the fact that not only he's getting leads, he's creating content, video content that can support the content on his website, but he's also generating revenue now. So it's another additional stream of income, and I'm just trying to push him more, but it's very hard. And I think that will be the biggest challenge for all the local business owners in 2026. Going back to what Darren was saying, is diversification. You have to be dealing with shrinking Google Map Pack, but you still have to be there. You'll have to invest in local ads. You'll have to create videos and maybe target platforms like YouTube and TikTok and so on. And you still have to do your job, right? So how do you do all of that and also deal with all the AI coming through? It's becoming mind-boggling for all of these businesses. So I think platforms like YouTube, absolutely. Video marketing in general is probably the simplest way of overcoming all the challenges, because if you're on a job, then you just fire your camera, right? And then that's it. And then maybe edit it later, but authenticity that will come through that will be probably very powerful to get those clients who will want someone who's genuine. So yeah, get your camera out, or your phone. Everybody's got a phone, and the cameras on those phones are fantastic. So a little tripod, just put it there, edit it, and then you'll be fine. So yeah, YouTube definitely.
Luke, just curious, what industry and country was that business in that's doing well?
He's an electrician based in the UK.
Okay. Yeah, my go-to is Roger Wakefield. He is the plumber all over YouTube. That guy was made for YouTube, though. But he has been insanely successful. I interviewed him, I don't know, I think last year. This is a good segue. I want to show our upcoming webinar for next month. Because if you haven't registered for that, make sure you do so. I'm going to be talking to Mike King. We're going to be diving into a lot more AI stuff. Mike is so smart. It makes me feel stupid sometimes talking to him, but he understands how AI bots work at a level that I do not. So I'm really excited to sit down and pick his brain. We'll talk a little bit more about things like AI mode, like how it works, if you should even care. What does fan out queries mean? Darren's favorite word, chunking, maybe will come up. So we haven't talked about chunking.
Yeah. I saw Mike King's keynote presentation at Brighton SEO UK. You do not want to miss this webinar. It is going to be so good. This guy is, he's the guy. It's like, if you want to know about LLMs, AI, this webinar is going to blow your mind. You'd be like, oh my God, this is huge. So yeah.
Yeah,
It's gonna be
he
good.
is great.
I will be attending that one.
There was the question I saw come up here about YouTube that I wanted to clarify. I don't know where it went with Luke, but AI YouTube videos. This is like a trend I keep seeing. Like you don't get in front of a camera. You like have an AI Luke or something AI generated on YouTube. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I see more and more AI YouTube videos being pushed, and people are having difficulties figuring out whether it's been AI generated or if it's actually been shot by a proper video maker or content creator, which is quite an interesting fact. I think within the space of a few months, it'll be very difficult to tell the difference between the two. When it comes to local businesses, however, you can't fake authenticity, right? So if you're a plumber and you're filming yourself unclogging a sink, and it's not an AI tool that's doing that for you, and being able to build that rapport with the potential customers that are going to get in touch with you before you turn up outside their doors, that's when it's become powerful, right? Because you've already established this credibility factor through the video making process. They've seen what you're capable of doing, and they will want to work with you. And that's exactly what's happening when Darren says, oh, people find us through YouTube. They saw his face, they believe him, they feel he's trustworthy. That's debatable. And and they reach out because they understand that he's got the knowledge, the skills, the experience, and that's what will matter. So AI can't really fake that just yet, and I think it will struggle. So yeah, some AI videos will make it, but I don't think you're going to get many leads through that, which ultimately is the end of the game when it comes to local marketing.
Mm-hmm. We had a question about AI agents. Honestly, save that for Mike King. That would be my answer, because I feel like he will have a much better answer than this panel will. But I do want to talk about tracking. Before I do that, Darren, you obviously develop software for tracking. You guys have made some improvements recently. Do you want to share what you've been doing over at Whitespark?
Oh, sure. Yeah, we have our new Whitespark local ranking grid software. And it's a bold statement, but I think it's the best ranking grid software on the market. It is, it's just so dang beautiful. Looks so good. Your reports look great. And we have fantastic competitive analysis features. You can do this really awesome side-by-side comparison, breaking down the profile against who's ranking compared to you. And I don't know, like if you're using one of these softwares, you may want to consider switching to ours just because it looks so damn awesome. The reports are good. Actually, another thing, it's like when I use, Local Falcon. When I use Local Falcon, I just find that it's like, so where are the things? It's just so big and clunky. This software is just so delightful to use. And I'm really proud of the team for putting this thing together. It was supposed to be like, yeah, we're going to launch this thing in like 4 months. And it took us over a year because we just really agonized over every detail. So big fan of this. It continues to get better and better. And yeah. So anyways, thanks for the opportunity to mention it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and that leads me into a good question. So this obviously is good for tracking local back rankings. How are you handling tracking things like traffic from LLMs or?
Yeah. So I see other companies doing that, and I'm like, what kind of bullshit is this? Because I'm like, this is not a thing. You cannot track that, especially on a ranking grid. And so, because the results are so randomized, I'm like, so if you are using something, you're like, aha, this tool is telling me my LLM visibility, you just throw that data in the trash. It's like not telling you really anything. And so we're not doing it. We're like, yeah, you guys go ahead, but that's some stupid stuff. So we're definitely not doing it.
I agree with you. For the record, the only thing that's like worth tracking, I think, is these AI local packs, because while they are, they do
Yeah,
rotate
cool.
for sure.
Yeah,
they are a
yeah.
little more consistent. I've tried some that track ChatGPT. It's like a crap show. Like, it is not accurate. I can never replicate anything live that it's showing me. I agree with you. I think it's like people are selling these like crazy though. If you tell like a big brand that you can track their visibility
I
on
know, that's
AI.
why people are doing it. But you know
Yeah.
what? We got enough money at Whitespark. We're doing fine. I'm not gonna sell you something that is useless just to put more money in the bank. That's stupid. And speaking of money in the bank, what's the price? Someone asked, is it cheaper than local Falcon? It's roughly the same. I think we are slightly less expensive, but if you convert all your campaigns over, and if anyone is interested, they'll be like, it's too much work to move my campaigns over. Our support team will do it for you. So happy to move you over.
Very nice. Reduce the friction. We got a whole bunch of random, no likes your comment, Darren. We have a bunch of like random questions that I'm going to throw at you guys. So Luke, I'll throw this one at you. What strategies for review generation have you seen the best results with?
Review generation. So simple one, just ask your clients, right? Well, you'd be surprised. When sometimes you tell people you got to ask your clients and they feel embarrassed about asking. So ask. Now, it's which method are you going to use to ask? Well, you can ask face-to-face if you're dealing with them. Send an email. I think text messages work well because you can actually create dedicated link that will open up directly in people's phones, and people open text messages, right? So the open rate for a text message is way bigger. I think it's 98% or something ridiculous in comparison to emails where you just say, oh, just review us, and you're like, nah, I don't want to review you. So that's a 25% open rate, and the click-through rate is even worse than that. So yeah, if you can send a text, send a text. Other techniques that you can use that work well is if you have people working for you, ask them to contribute and challenge them and say, hey, whoever gets the most reviews from our clients this month gets a little bonus or whatever. That works because then people will compete just for the sake of competing as well. And then at the end, you reveal the winner, and then you just give a little $50 or $100 bonus. But those tactics work very well. Or you can use a third-party tool. So if you don't want to handle that yourself, then you just pay, and then that's quite efficient too. So there's many ways. I think ultimately it will also depend on your verticals, and then how if you have a face-to-face interaction with your clients, you can ask there and then. But it's not always as simple as that. But yeah, depend on what kind of business you are. There are many tactics.
For sure. Speaking of tactics, I do want to mention, if you haven't already got your ticket for Local U Global, that is happening in January. I am really excited about our lineup. Some of these speakers, I don't think I ever would have been able to convince to come to like our in-person events due to how far away they live, like Kyle Roof. I'm not sure he would have flown in from Thailand. Kyle, I did an interview with him on our YouTube channel. I think it was like one of our most popular interviews that I've ever done. He is brilliant. We have Will Reynolds also speaking. Colin Nielsen, my colleague, he's speaking. A bunch of people are speaking. I'm not going to list them all, but there's a lot of really awesome people, and it's only $100. So 135, sorry. And anywhere, you can attend from anywhere. If it's like not favorable to your time zone, we will be recording, and yes, you can access it later. For the questions about today's thing, what we're doing right now, yes, this will be available afterwards on Whitespark's YouTube channel, Ranking Academy's YouTube channel, and Sterling Sky's YouTube channel. Pick your channel, it'll be there. All right, let's go to more questions because there are so many. Is the openness, I'm assuming he's talking about the openness update. So we're talking about business hours being used for ranking. Are you still seeing that this is a big ranking factor?
Yes.
Okay.
I am.
Elaborate or no? Just
Yeah. So basically, and actually one of the things I don't think has gotten a lot of talk about is it's a two-stage thing. If you're open, you can rank quite well. There's an hour in between before you close, and on the profile, you'll see it say closing soon.
Mm-hmm.
In that hour, your rankings drop a little bit. And then when you fully close, your rankings drop even more. And so, yes, still a thing. You won't see it in every industry. So if you're in let's say, personal injury law, and everyone in the top 40 results are all 24/7 because they have a call answering service, then you're like, oh, openness has no impact. Well, of course they're all just always there. And so you'll see it in industries where, businesses tend to close. You'll definitely see it in like something like dentistry, anything that has like
Mhm.
physical offices where their hours have to match what when people can come and open the door. You really see it fall off there. And it is a valuable strategy to consider extending your hours by a couple hours each day. Like you either open an hour earlier or stay open an hour later if you're a physical location. And if you are a service business, then you could get away with just having your hours reflect when you answer your phone. So that's valuable too. You could go 24/7. If you don't want to spend the money for the midnight to 6 a.m. calls, you could probably just extend it to midnight or even 10 p.m. or something. Just have a call center answering calls at that time.
So when you say, Darren, when you say your rankings drop, your rankings don't actually drop. Your position is being affected by other businesses being open rather than
That's a
you
good way to
drop.
put it. Yes, that is
Yeah.
a more clear way to explain what's happening. So yeah, your rankings don't drop. It's just like you're not open, so the guys that are open supersede.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because otherwise people might think, oh my God, I'm closed, so that's it. I'm going to drop down the list. And that's not exactly what's happening.
No, you usually, and actually you'll see a lot of businesses that are closed, stuck between, like, it's still ranking in position 2. So they'd be like, number 1 is open, number 2 is closed, but they're still ranking number 2, and then everyone else. It's because it's I would say a minor-ish factor.
Yeah.
You can definitely overcome it with other signals on your profile, reviews, review recency, great links to your website, great content on your website, fully optimized Google Business Profile. There are other ways to sort of get around it, but it is a factor. It still has an impact.
It gives you an additional edge, basically.
Yep.
All right. Who wants to take this one? Ranking tips for service area businesses that have hidden addresses.
Yeah, show your address.
Yeah, that's a thing. Yeah.
So I'll share this was really interesting. I had a case on the forum where there was a beauty salon and they had their address showing and it's a house. Like I'm looking at it, I'm like, this is a house. And their listing got suspended, but they actually had interior signage. Like when you go to their house, they actually do all their hair appointments and things there. So you actually do have to show up there. And I wasn't sure if Google was going to accept interior signage for this business because I was like, it's a house. Like, I don't think you're supposed to show your address, but they were fine. I actually made a case to Google. I was like, they're real. Their customers show up here. You can actually see all their signage the moment you walk in. It's like all over their walls in their basement. And like, you can see the salon chair. And that was enough. So that's kind of interesting. I was like, I wonder if like service area businesses could have like at-home addresses or at-home offices, that are like signed inside and work from there. And then as long as you claim businesses show up there or your customers show up there, then maybe it's okay. I don't know.
Sounds a little bit far-fetched to me, right? That's
scammy stuff are you suggesting, Joy? Are you local SEO here?
If you legitimately had an at-home office, and I don't know, I mean, Darren, you could make your like suite there into like a Whitespark thing. Just have a couple of clients over.
Just put a sign on my like office door inside. But so that beauty salon, what's to stop them from getting just like one of those lawn signs and just stick it into their lawn?
A lot of people don't want it, and also it's not permanent, so it doesn't fit Google's criteria.
Google will be like,
they don't accept lawn signs.
Yeah. What if you just Photoshop it though?
I mean, I wouldn't suggest that.
But I know people do that. Yeah.
Yes, we see a lot of that. That's getting harder to tell. It certainly works.
I feel like I don't know. I shouldn't speak because I'm not a product expert. I don't spend enough time dealing with these things. So what do you think, Joy? Does Photoshopping work?
Oh, it totally works. I wish it didn't, for the record. I'm not proud that it works. But
okay, it's good to know.
It's so well done now, like with AI, that it is hard to tell the fakes from the originals. It is like, it's hard. I'm not defending Google here. I think they could do a better job, but service area business listings just don't rank as well.
Can we talk about the service area business ranking stuff? Did you see what I wrote in the local search ranking factors about it? My theories on it?
No. Oh, I missed it. What'd you write? I didn't see it.
All right, I'll try to give it to you as quick as possible. My theories on this is that there's one of two things happening. The first thing that happens, and we've seen this happen many times, is, okay, you've got a business that has their address showing, they're ranking great. Google's like, nope, you got to hide it. and then re-verify. So you do it, you hide it, you are now a service area business, and oh crap, you don't rank at all. What happened? So sometimes we see that the listing, the rankings just moved. They went back to the previous place that the business was verified at. And so that is a case that we have seen happen. So business originally opened in Aurora, Colorado, and then they eventually moved to Colorado Springs. Once they hid their address from Colorado Springs, they just moved back to Aurora. That happens. And so what's happening is that Google no longer has that address. So they have to position you at the only address they have, which was the address you verified your profile at. Okay, that case happens. So that's one thing you could consider if you've had this problem, or you lose your rankings when you hide your address. The other case that definitely happens is people are like, I'm telling you, man, I lost my rankings, but our address has always been the same. We never changed it. So where's your theory now, Darren? Well, my theory in that case is that I feel like it's so theoretical. So I want to debate it with you, Joy and Luke, and see what your thoughts are on this, because I think it's a bit of a bug. I have seen a case before where a guy did that. He hit his address, and then his rankings disappeared. He no longer ranks where he was. And he promises me he has never been in this location where his rankings moved to. He has never had an address there. His business was always registered at that address, but his rankings moved 200 miles north into the middle of the desert. Why?
Yeah, it's a bug. That is 1,000% a bug.
It is a bug. And that's what I think is happening to all these SABs. I think they're all being subjected to some stupid ass bug that Google has, where it moves you to just some random ass location, because Google's like, oh, you don't have an address anymore. What do I do? And so it throws you in the middle of the ocean or puts them somewhere else. Like, I think there's a weird bug at Google. So that's my theory. Shoot it down, Joy. Let's hear it.
The reason why this is so complicated is all your scenarios are different things, right? So the first thing you said is true. You guys did an amazing job highlighting this in a video. So Whitespark is a video that shows what happens when you try to move a service area business listing. You cannot move a service area business listing. It doesn't work. The moment you have a hidden address, like you said, Darren, you add a new address to it, the profile will move because it's now a storefront. That works. The moment you clear the address, it goes back to the address you verified the profile with.
Right.
So you cannot move a service area business. I brought this up with Google like a couple of years ago. I actually wrote a blog talking about how to move a service area business listing, which is essentially
I reference that blog once a week. People are like, what do I do? And I'm like, well, this is the only way.
I worked with someone at Google to like get the thing. I'm like, tell me, I don't want to advise people wrong. Tell me this is the correct process. And like they don't have it listed in their help center.
I emailed that blog to a friend of mine yesterday.
All the time.
It's crazy, but I'm like,
the resource.
So stupid that Google doesn't have this documented in their help center. I mean, I kind of hope they don't, because it's great for people to reference my article, but like they should really document it. But you have to create a new listing. So that is problem one, right? You can't move a service area business listing, right? So that is the case if you're trying to move or switch an address. The bug is a different thing. The bug is, again, what often happens when people attempt to move things or merges happen, like all kinds of wonky things. There are bugs that will just like totally displace service area business listings. We've seen them in the middle of Kansas when they're not in Kansas. So that still happens. They're pretty rare. I will tell you that Google has patched most of those bugs. I haven't heard of one in a while. So if you have a recent case, like I want to know. Like the third thing, which is the most common, which is why service area businesses don't rank well. Because they don't. I am confident of this. I've had people tell me I'm flat out wrong. I'm like, no, guys, like I have studied this so much. Like I am confident there is a ranking disadvantage to having a service area business where your address is hidden. And the reason why is we did a test on this with a client where we hid it, then added it, then hid it, and then add it. Same exact address. We're not changing or moving or anything like that. And then also, here's the test that you can do. Find a service area business that ranks well. I think there was one for like Locksmith Dallas or Plumber Dallas. I can't remember which one, but there's one that like, there's a guy that shows up really prominently in the local pack and he's a service area business. Go on Maps, Google Maps, search that same query. You will see it move down like 5 or 6 positions. And we have seen this in our own clients with their Google profiles and insights. If you look at insights for a traditional business, usually you'll see Google Maps is a fraction of search. It's like maybe search is 60% and Maps is 30. I'm just making up these numbers. Go to a service area business listing. Maps is like non-existent. It's like 1% or less. because they don't rank in maps because they don't have a pin. And maps fundamentally needs a pin. And they use driving directions. I mean, the black hats have tested this. Driving directions are a ranking signal. What happens when you remove that?
Well, this is my backup theory. My backup theory is that it's not the actual removal of the address. It is the loss of driving directions.
Yeah, loss of a pin.
Although a service like a plumber never got driving directions anyways.
But the loss of a pin, you now don't show up because you don't have a pin. You don't show up as related places. You lose a crap ton of visibility on Google Maps. And that will hurt your overall performance because those signals, they just didn't replace those signals.
Then when you're not on maps, you lose the engagement signals, affects your local pack and other things.
Yeah, I mean, you have a rank grid.
That's why you should get an address.
Maybe more research required.
So Darren, do this. Go search the same business on Whitespark, then also do a grid on BrightLocal. You guys track separately. Whitespark uses maps. BrightLocal uses, and what you will likely see is that a service area business will rank worse according to your tool than BrightLocal's tool. Because they are using search.
I just feel like there's something going on here. I need to do more research. This is a call out to anyone listening. If you have a service area business and you've had this problem where you've lost your rankings, I would love to look. I want to just run a little analysis and see if I can validate some of my theories on this. I'm investigating this right now. Send me your case studies.
I'm doing a whole presentation on this topic, so it's it's like what I have researched quite a bit.
Yeah.
Definitely want to see some more case studies. Here's a question: do co-working space qualify as addresses?
If you have a dedicated office in the co-working space with signage, then yes. Otherwise, no. And even if you did do that, I don't love it. I'm like, it just feels like you got a bit of a bullseye in order that might take you down because you're at a co-working space. And so what I suggest businesses do if you need cheap office space is what's called a sublease. And you won't find them on the real estate websites. The real estate, they'll be like, yeah, we got an office for you at $7,000 a month. And businesses are like, what? And you're like, no, I just need a tiny little office. And they're like, yeah, okay, fine. It's $5,000 a month. So commercial real estate is stupid. But what you can do is get a sublease. Someone's already paying that $5,000 a month for their whole office, and you just sublease a room in it for $500 a month. And you find those on Craigslist, Facebook Marketplace, those kinds of places. So do your searching for that, and now you've got an office. So it's better than co-working, in my opinion, if you are concerned about putting a Google business profile online
with an address.
With an address. Yeah, exactly.
If you change your Google Business service location for a service area business, will you eventually start ranking in the new location, even if it takes several months? Now, I want to clarify what they mean by service location. Let's assume they're talking about an actual physical move, because service areas is something totally different and they don't impact ranking. So let's talk about if you are a plumber and you were in Aurora and you moved to Denver, will you eventually start ranking in Denver? And the answer is yes, right? Like, does submitting citations help? There's a question for you guys.
Well, if you're showing your address, but if you're not showing your address and you say, okay, I'm in Aurora, I want to rank in Denver. You cannot rank in Denver unless you change your address to a Denver address and show it. Otherwise, you will always rank in Aurora. Service. What?
Not if you set up a new profile, which is the way to move a service area business.
You would have to go and make a whole new GBP in Denver. It could still be hidden, like no address showing, and then you have to contact Google and get them to move your reviews. That would be the only way to do it. That's actually outlined.
Like, I guess if you change the service location, so I'm not sure whether or not they mean if you modify the service area that you actually showed on your profile and you just change it to something else, will you rank in that location? And the answer is no, right?
Yeah, exactly. We said physical move. So not talking about
physical move, then that's the way to do it. And I think I dropped the link to the Sterling Sky article, and that's how to do it. And so it really describes how to do it. If you want to put that up on the screen, that link is the way to do it. But service areas in the Google Business profile have no impact on ranking. You can add a service area, and you will not rank better there.
Yeah. Okay. What do you guys suggest for home-based service businesses about putting their address on their website?
Home-based service. Do we need to put Google Maps and location on a website, even if clients never go to the business address?
I would suggest it if you don't care. And I like big asterisks here. If you don't mind your home address being publicly visible on your website, that's not like a privacy concern. Certainly there's a ranking advantage to having the address listed on your website. So I would do that if you don't care about the privacy thing.
I agree with that for sure, because it is definitely a thing. We see that businesses with the address showing tend to rank better.
And also for customers who come on your website and they're not quite sure where you are, and then suddenly they can see that exactly where you're located, so they feel a bit more reassured that you're the right kind of business.
Yeah, there's definitely a trust factor there. What about businesses that service the entire state? And now we're talking about service areas.
Well, you got to be careful about the 2-hour driving distance. You can get your business profile suspended if you set a service area larger than 2 hours driving distance from your location. So
Have you seen that? Has that actually happened?
I don't know. Vinay told me it happens. He sees cases where they get suspended. You actually don't see too many cases where that was the reason.
This is not a policy. I know it says in the guidelines. It's a guideline, a suggestion. It is not a policy. Like, yeah. And I've actually, there's people that will disagree with me, but I'm like, I was talking with some of my team. I'm like, have you ever seen a business suspended for this? They're like, no. And like,
Whitespark got suspended. And we set our service area to be all of UK and all of Germany. And we're a Canadian company, so that looked suspicious. But I wouldn't say we actually got suspended. Like we had multiple things going on, so maybe it wasn't that.
Yeah, probably wasn't the reason, right?
You were doing some really, really weird stuff with that listing.
Yeah.
You probably could have been suspended sooner. But yeah, the 2-hour rule is not. I should write about this.
Okay.
I feel like we should put this, like, because it's not a rule. Like it's not something that although what confuses people is I've definitely seen Google support agents reference it. So they just go and they quote from things, and like whenever you're talking to that tier, they're like, oh, you need to do this, but it's not actually a blocker for reinstatement at all.
I would say if that's the case, then who cares? The only thing that the service areas does on your profile is it draws a little red outline. So if you service the whole state, then sure, put it on there. That way, person looking at your profile can see the red outline and be like, okay, yes, they are willing to come to me. That's the only benefit you get out of service areas.
Amy has a good question. I've heard of this, but never actually seen it. Have you heard of a service area business being ranked from the center of their service area as opposed to their actual address? I heard somebody say this, but I've never seen it.
I've never seen that
too. And that was actually a recent one on the forum. That guy, when he hit his address, his rankings moved to the center point of his service area. So I have heard this. This is one of my other theories too, right? So this is why I want to investigate more cases. I have heard this. Doesn't seem to always happen, but it seems to sometimes happen. So it's interesting.
I tried to do it on Sterling Sky's listing. We set our service areas to like Milton, which is like nowhere near me. It's like 2 hours for me. And it did not move our rankings whatsoever. Our rankings are based on my house.
I had a job in Milton once. I worked at Longo's Fruit Market when I was 14 years old, prepping produce in the back. It was the worst job I've ever had.
Awesome backstory, Darren. Okay. Here's a random question. And so I'll clarify what these services do to best of my knowledge. Nearby Now, Real Work Labs. I think we're talking about services that automate things like check-ins, and then they put them on your website in like a widget format. And sometimes they'll upload like pictures of jobs and reviews and like things, so it gets like fresh content on your site. Have you had any of your clients use a service like this?
Never heard of these people.
No? Okay.
I like the concept. I have seen the Nearby Now's claims about its effectiveness, which are maybe not trustworthy, but the idea makes sense to me because it's just the fresh content. It's just like you're constantly generating new content about location-based jobs being done out on the field and putting them into your location landing pages. That feels like a useful thing to do. I wouldn't say it's a massive needle mover, but probably does it work for boosting? I'm going to say probably.
So we tracked one. We had a client that not nearby now, no, actually neither of these companies, but a competitor of that does something similar. We saw nothing. I tracked organic traffic. We tracked Google Business Profile rankings. Like we were kind of looking for the whole shebang. Didn't see any movement at all. So I don't think it works. And I have lots of reasons as to why I don't think it works. I think it has a lot to do with the structure of the content. And like a lot of times it's like an iframe. So it's not treated the same as like,
that's not good.
Yeah. So anyways, I haven't seen it work. Would love to see case studies if people have seen otherwise. But every time a client of ours like signs up for one of these things, I'm always like, ooh, let's track it. Let's see if we can notice anything. Because I kind of wanted it to work, not gonna lie. Oh my goodness, there are so many questions. Okay, Darren, this is a good one for you since you guys deal a lot with citations. Apple Maps, are you managing this for clients like GBP? What is your thoughts on the importance of Apple Maps?
Get it and forget it. That's the way I do it. Yeah. So we just we definitely make sure all of our clients have an Apple Maps, especially if they're a physical location, because people do use Apple Maps driving directions, right? So you definitely want to have you want to have your listing claimed, up to date, optimized. And by optimized, I just mean like fill out every field. Apple Map, I think they even have like, I might be confusing with Bing, but I think they even have like a thing that's similar to Google Posts. It's like, no, we're not going to waste our time with that. But you just create your listing, make sure it's accurate, and then spend the rest of your moments focusing on Google and organic.
Yeah, I think if you like managed, listings for gas stations or donut shops or something like that, maybe Apple Maps would be like super, super important. But we certainly haven't seen it as a key driver for any industries we work with.
Isn't that the default search on GPS and stuff like that? On a lot of GPS systems in cars, Apple Map.
Mm-hmm.
I think
exactly.
I think it is. Yeah. So for that reason, yes. But
All right, let's go around on this one. Darren, what's your unbiased opinion here? Are citations still worth building?
My unbiased opinion is yes. Well, actually, it's impossible to have an unbiased opinion. My biased opinion is yes, but I always thought that they were effective. They're definitely getting new life in 2026, 2025, 2026 because of large language models like ChatGPT. There's a lot of talk about citations. But I don't think really anything has changed. My guidelines on citations have always been the same. You want to be listed on the important sites in your industry and just the important sites that Google looks at. So we're talking about Better Business Bureau, Facebook profile, LinkedIn, any industry specific sites. Shockingly, MapQuest. MapQuest comes up as an important site that is being referenced a lot. Sites like Yellow Pages. I think that your core basic citations is a foundational tactic that every business should do. Do you need 200 citations? Nope, that's totally kind of useless. It's like, do I need 500 social bookmarking links? No, I don't, because those are not going to provide any value. So a lot of the citations at the lower end of the value scale are very not worth it in my.
I think they're useful when you're starting out. If you just start a fresh new business and then you make sure you're registered in all of that. Once you've ticked that box, that's it, you're done. I think I remember a study from you, Joy, where you submitted to many directories and shortly after that, it was de-indexed and it was completely useless. So, and often it will be a waste of time, but yeah, the big ones matter.
Yeah, I always say like the better the site ranks on Google, the more valuable it is. So if you want to know if a citation site is worth it, I usually will plop in the domain into Ahrefs, see how well that domain as a whole is doing over the last 5 years, like put the scale back and just see, what's the one you always pick on? My Huckleberry, Darren?
My Huckleberry, it's my favorite citation site because it's got the best name.
It won't pass this test if you put it into Ahrefs.
No. Yelp though. So the question here from Steve, Yelp. Yeah, I should have listed that in my core. You must have Yelp. Yelp is
agreed. Okay, so I want to clarify this. This is like a really misunderstood topic. So how many miles apart do GBPs have to be? First of all, their storefronts. Don't even worry. Like you can have as many storefronts as you want. It's not a good idea to put them close together because you're probably going to be cannibalizing your own rankings. And we see this all the time with businesses. They like open up another location way too close to their existing one, and then their new location and their existing one are just competing. One ranks, one doesn't. It's really stupid. For service area businesses, it has nothing to do with how far apart they are. It has to do with your service areas on your profile. So you can't have anything overlapping. So if you have one in Denver and you have one in Aurora, since that's our example of the day, that's fine if they both say they, one service is Denver, one service is Aurora. You're supposed to have different staff theoretically as well. I just don't know how in the world Google would be able to police that.
Is that okay? So you talked about the 2-hour driving distance being a guideline, not a policy. Do you think that the overlap is a suspension risk?
1,000%. Yes.
So the overlap is the real one you got to worry
Yes.
about.
Yeah, I have cases all the time where people have overlapping service areas, or they overlap their storefronts too. Like, seen that as well. And that is 100% a reason why your listing will get suspended and not get reinstated as well.
Right, you got to fix it. Yeah.
Yeah. What about service area pages? What are you guys seeing with those? Still effective?
I still like them. They provide some information to Google that you service that area on your website, which can definitely help your local and local organic rankings. So do they move the needle? Yeah, I would say they do. And they're useful to do. Yeah, definitely.
The key here is how you build those pages, right? I mean,
how do you recommend you build them?
It's not churning out
right.
rubbish. If you're going to go down that path, make sure that those pages are rich, useful, provide value, because otherwise it's too easy. But I believe they work very well personally.
Yep.
So I feel like there's a few topics that I think have become pretty interesting lately that I want to make sure we talk about. The review extortion. I don't know how many businesses you guys have seen fall victim to this. We've seen a lot. Like we've seen it happen to clients. It's happened to like other SEOs I know. It's all over the forum. Basically, the scam is that people overseas will basically go and leave like 15 negative reviews in a row. And these aren't just 1-star things. They are like detailed reviews talking about how you suck and you screwed them over, like blatant lies. And they post like 15. And then the last one that they post is like, contact us. Or they put it in their like profile, oh, contact us to get this removed, or like, here's my WhatsApp number. So have you guys seen this kind of blackmail going on with businesses, and what do you suggest they do about it?
I haven't come across blackmail as such, but I've seen clients being affected with a bunch of 1-star reviews suddenly popping up. It wasn't very smartly done. I mean, you could sniff it out like a mile off. It was just suddenly you get 5 or 6 or more 1-star reviews from a business that is pretty consistent in getting positive reviews. So you can instantly find out what it was. And then the comments also were not particularly creative. And you could also track where those reviews were coming from. Right, because the users they were coming from, as you said, overseas or some places where there was no way the businesses would have dealt with those clients. So we never received any demand for money. However, we were able to flag those to Google and remove them. But it's definitely there. I haven't seen personally an increase in that kind of activity. But it's particularly annoying to deal with that.
Yeah, I have not personally experienced it. None of our clients have been hit with this annoying problem. But isn't it somewhat tied to when they added WhatsApp? So they added WhatsApp to the profiles. That's what I heard, that like people were posting all the negative reviews and then they'd message you through WhatsApp.
Interesting.
Oh.
They would put their WhatsApp number on their profile. So they're assuming you're going to contact them, but it's a good question. Actually, I don't know if I'll have to go back and check the ones that have this, if they actually activated the WhatsApp feature. I don't think they did.
Yeah, that's what I had heard, is like they'll like specifically target businesses that have added the WhatsApp, and they're like, oh, they have the WhatsApp, so we know we can easily contact them. And then they throw all the negative reviews on there, and then they just message them on WhatsApp because that's untraceable and it's easy for them to just message them on WhatsApp and be like, haha, we got you. You got to pay us $5,000 if you want us to remove these reviews. And so we haven't personally been affected by this, but it's so prominent and it's such a big deal that Google's actually got a whole new form for it where you can report this. And so Google clearly sees it as enough of a problem to build a whole process for dealing with it. And so, yeah, there's a link that you can go to where you can report this scam on your profile, and they have a tool, a merchant extortion form you can fill out, and Google is actually doing a very good job, as far as I've heard, of dealing with these. They will remove reviews. Yeah, so they take it seriously.
Yeah, it's actually a pretty fast turnaround. On all the cases that I've handled, I want to say it was in like 2 days, like a day or two.
Yeah, they're doing a good job. Yeah,
so we'll put the link out there. And we have a video actually coming out on this topic, I think in January, on the Sterling Sky channel, just talking about, actually talked to one of the review scammers. It was quite amusing. Via WhatsApp, I decided to contact him. The guy called me bro. It was quite the thing. So anyways, I did a whole video on it that we're going to publish, but
cool.
I was like, seriously, bro? Like, yeah, no, I'm not your bro, but thanks. So another review related trend that we are seeing is what I call review jail, but it's basically Google gives you an alert. You get an email, which is shocking. Google actually being transparent. They send you an email. They're like, you have a review restriction on your profile. They last 30 days. They are gone usually after 30 days, and it's for a review violation on your profile. And this is something that was pretty much non-existent last year. We are seeing it's starting to increase in volume, especially over the last month or so, hearing lots of stories of businesses getting nailed with these. And really interesting is Claudia Tuamina has been tracking a new use case for it, because previously we were seeing it with businesses that were offering incentives in their stores. So like there's proof of that. And she's been noticing it's now tied to volume. So we actually had her on our subreddit yesterday. There was an AMA if somebody wants to grab the link. And so we were talking quite a bit about it. And she was saying that businesses that basically like their volume of reviews goes up substantially and then stays up for a period of like 3 months. She's seen them get nailed with a review restriction. Google's basically removing a good chunk of those reviews, not allowing them to get any new ones for 30 days. And then there's like a warning on the profile as well that says like reviews have been removed because they were suspicious. So that's an interesting trend. I'm like, volume that's not something I've seen before.
Yeah, so it's almost like a spike, and it does make you wonder how bad of an idea it is if you haven't gotten new reviews in a very long time, and they're like, oh yeah, right, we got to get reviews, and then you blast your mailing list of 30,000, and then all these reviews come in, and then Google's like, this looks suspicious, slaps a warning on your profile. That's concerning. Yeah.
So the good news is I asked her about that exact scenario, Darren, because we've been tracking a business that did that. They had a different thing, another video I have coming out soon. But it was a business that like their volume increased by 80 in one day. And they went from like 300 to like 400 in a day. And it does not apply in that case. She said it's only happening for businesses where the increase is continuing to happen over several months.
Velocity.
Yeah. So if you get like a bam, like, because that happens all the time naturally, like a business does an event or something happens.
That's true. Yeah, you had an event. Yeah.
So like that is normal. Concert, I don't know, something like that, right? And so it's only if it's been like over a time period.
Right.
I think she said 90 days, if I remember correctly. But I think what the Google's looking for is like businesses that are incentivizing. I think they're looking for a way to scale that, because as of right now, I want to say like almost every single case I've seen, my theory is that somebody reported them. Like somebody went into the store, took a picture and sent it to Google and was like, this business is offering incentives. Because how could they
report that?
There's a form. There's like a dedicated form that you can report,
right.
Review incentives. Google really doesn't like them. And they will take them all down. It's one of those things where they're pretty harsh. But this new thing, I think it's just like their way of trying to figure out how to automate it.
But if those reviews are genuine, will they, will the client be able to recover them?
So far from Claudia, because she's been tracking a few cases, she said not a single one has had the appeal go through. They're stuck with the 30 days.
That's terrible.
And I think for some of her cases, they weren't doing anything wrong. It was just volume. But like one of them was like a cannabis store. So it's already an industry that Google doesn't trust. But yeah, like if you're super aggressive about it, and I think my theory, I don't know if this is true, but my theory is they have a lot of foot traffic on people. So they'll know how many people visited your store, and they can measure that as a percentage. And they're like, oh, if 90% of people that visited your store left you a review, that's not normal.
Or
So
actually, if 600% of people that visited your store left your review, it's like foot traffic for the day, 4 people, but you got 7 reviews on that day.
Now,
yeah.
I'm assuming that the foot traffic, talking about that, is based on people carrying a mobile phone and GPS tracked. Is that correct?
Yeah.
So have you heard of I think it's a black hat strategy of people purchasing multiple phones and going into specific stores, and so to create this imaginary foot traffic, so then the business would rank better?
Darren, you just posted about this yesterday.
Well, yeah, that was the Holly Stark's driving directions. It was like that is old. I think she did it like 7 years ago or something. But she put like 100 cell phones in her car and did driving directions to the business. That is maybe different than foot traffic. Foot traffic is an interesting one for the black hats to manipulate. And so, like, you know, your suggestion, Luke, as one of our premier black hat SEOs suggesting these tips, but you could just get all these phones and take them into a business, and would that help your rankings? I haven't seen any research on that.
I wish I could share the story, but I was told in confidence. It certainly does help your ranking if you can manage to manipulate that.
Yeah.
Because I know somebody who's successfully done it, and their way of doing it was shady. So not anything I would suggest doing, but CTR manipulation or anything that manipulates traffic it does work. The one thing that I will say that I keep hearing, we had a guy, Ian Evans, sorry, probably mispronouncing his last name. He also did an AMA on our subreddit recently, and he has a CTR manipulation tool. And he said that it doesn't work the way it used to. Like Google changed it. I think it wasn't last year, it was the year before. And he's like, it's significantly different than it used to be. And it's not the same, like, you know, silver bullet that it used to be. Because people used to do it and they would like skyrocket. I watched businesses do this. And he said it's a lot harder than it used to be. And you also can't do it on a business that ranks like 20th. So unless you're already getting close to the top, it's not worth doing.
That's interesting.
He said he's like, my best clients are the white hats. And he's like, they're, you know, the ones where their businesses are like 5th or 6th, and they just need to get them to like the first positions.
Right.
That being said, guys, I do not do this as a tactic for my agency. I don't suggest it. Like, even though he's saying it works, I would not do this. I think it's risky, and I'm not a big fan of risk.
Of course. And it would, logistically speaking, it must be quite difficult to put in place, right? You don't walk into a shop with 100 mobile phones in your backpack, right? It's just, it's crazy. There's
lots of people that offer this as a service. I mean, if you really want to go that route, there's tons of people, probably in our comments. I'm sure they're all going to comment, but like that, it's just not. I think there's better ways that don't involve as much risk.
Oh yeah, so definitely.
That's my take.
But is it really a risk?
Google. Well, again, having talked to enough people, yes, I've heard stories. If Google catches you, it's very similar to link building, right? Like,
I think you got to report it.
Yeah. Buying links works amazing. Like if you go buy like a bunch of links, you will rank really fast. It works so well until again, if you get caught, then Google undoes it all. So it's an if game. I just don't like playing. I have a certain level of risk that I'm willing to take, and I try to avoid tactics that are really risky.
On client,
yeah, exactly.
That's why we need test listings for playing.
There you go. Go test it on Whitespark, Darren. But honestly, you don't need to. I can already tell you it works. Like it does work. I've seen enough. Talked to enough people, seen enough presentations on it in the last year. I have no doubt that it works. So it is what it is. All right, let's go to more questions because we have a ton. All right, ranking in Gemini, AI, and Perplexity. What are the strategies? So I want to take this one and start by saying, I don't think you should care yet as a small business.
Agreed.
And the reason why I say that is I've been looking at our clients. We looked at our biggest client, like it's a giant site. They have like over 1 million visits from Google. And looking at just how many leads they got last year from all the AI sources, ChatGPT was 2% of Google. So like, why would you spend time focusing on a channel that is 2%? I can tell you YouTube would be higher if they were doing that. So I do not think this is something I would invest in at this point. Maybe that'll change, but as of right now, I wouldn't spend time and effort on this.
But you don't really have to do anything different. That's the thing, man. It's like Mike will talk about this differently when he comes on the webinar. But the standard SEO is really the foundation of how to rank in Gemini anyways. And so the only couple things I would consider switching up in your strategy, if you're not already doing it, trying to get listed on the best of lists. That's one thing. Also diversifying your review strategy, and then maybe looking at what the LLMs are citing for citations and making sure you're listed on those sites. But other than that, just keep doing the content on your website. Think about entity SEO. So as you write content on your website, write in what's called a semantic triple. So this business is this business does this. Make sure that that kind of language is on your website. But other than that, you're just doing SEO.
Yeah, I think a lot of businesses don't realize, like, it's not very intuitive to repeat their business name on their website, but you kind of have to.
Yeah.
So that is something that every small business should probably start doing if they're not already. All right. What lead tracking source do you use for calls? Any preferred vendors?
Lead tracking source we use CallRail. Yeah.
Same.
Yeah.
All right. And is it okay to use a call tracking number on your GBP?
Yes, classic question, classic SEO question from 2007. So yeah, you can definitely use one in your Google business profile. Just put your real number in as an additional number, because you got 3 number fields. So you got the primary number, that's the one that you show on the profile. Add your additional number in there, and you can definitely use a call tracking number on your GBP, and it is highly recommended, because the only call metrics you get in the performance section of GBP is mobile click to call. And so any desktop calls, or if someone just sees the number and then they call it, you won't be able to track that. So you'll actually see a huge difference. I think Joy did some great research on this. You see a huge difference between the number of calls Google reports and the actual calls you get from your Google business profile if you set up call tracking.
This is an interesting one. I personally haven't done anything with TikTok ads. Have either of you done anything with TikTok ads?
TikTok. Oh, I just did this. I haven't checked my results. I did it like yesterday. I was like, it was like, do you want to boost this ad for this post for $54? And I was like, okay. And then it was like $72 by the time I went through the checkout. And I was like, what kind of BS is this? So let's see. How did it perform? I have done it. And
was it
you? I got 27,000 views on this video. Well,
I mean, if it works like YouTube ads work great for getting more views to your video.
Man, I got 585 likes and 12 comments too.
Okay. And it cost you how much? It cost you $70? It cost you $70?
I paid $70 to boost it just as a test. And I was like,
Canadian? Or is that US?
That's 70 Canadian. Maybe that's why it was more when I went through the checkout. maybe they quoted me in US.
Yeah. I don't think I've seen anybody doing them for small businesses though. So this was might be a little different.
Oh, man, I totally went viral on TikTok.
Oh, awesome. I'll have to go check that out. All right. So this is related to videos. So if you are basically suggesting that clients get videos or businesses do videos, do you recommend in-depth topics related to the services they offer? Luke,
is this for me?
You're the video guy.
I'd be more of a in-depth topic. I'd rather call it niche topics than in-depth topics. So specifically, I've got my client that I was mentioning earlier on, who's an electrician. He fixes underfloor heating electric systems, and that's pretty niche, right? And he's doing a lot of videos on that, and he's getting leads just showing where the underfloor is broken, and then the electricity sparkling and stuff like that, and explaining to people, we're not going to destroy your flooring, we're going to do this, these are the tools that we use. And so yes, absolutely, I would definitely recommend that. Another thing that he does, which I worked with him on, is storage heaters, which are electric storage heaters. So I've gone down the route of doing a broad storage heater piece of content, but then I went down the specific brands on that. So I'm creating videos on the back of that as well. So on his website, he's got those specific brand of storage heater that he repairs that is also supported by the videos that he's created on his YouTube channel. So absolutely, I think it's a great combination. And then if I look at his analytics, you can see that the pages on his website are being supported by those videos, are generating a lot of views, but also a lot of leads. So it definitely, I would definitely recommend that. Yeah. And then you're facing less competition, and your conversion rate will be a lot higher as well.
Awesome. Darren, I'm going to point this next one at you. For local grid trackers, is it recommended to track service, near me, and also keyword plus city?
Service plus near me, or just keyword plus city? I like tracking both. Like, I think they're interesting. I think they are different. So keyword plus city, keyword plus near me, keyword plus city, yeah, basically that. And then just keyword on its own. I generally do the three of those: keyword on its own, keyword plus city. And I see very big differences actually when tracking with the city in there. Like, we have clients that just blanket the whole city in rankings when searched with the city in the name. But then if you just search with just the keyword on its own, they tend to have a much tighter ranking radius. So I tend to do all three. If I had to drop one because I'm trying to save credits, then I'd probably drop the near me because I don't care that much about it. I think you like near me more than me, Joy.
We just published a huge study on near me. So yeah, fun fact, one of the negative ranking factors for near me queries is having your address hidden.
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
Here's a question. Does timing of reviews really matter? Supposedly Google is suspicious if the customer is on site. It's a really interesting pattern, I think, to track, the thing that Claudia was talking about, because all of the cases, the reviews are being left in the store. And it makes me think, like, yeah, like, what is the likeliness that you have a 300% increase of reviews left at your location that's natural, right? Like, that does look suspicious. So it sounds like you're offering incentives. That's probably what Google thinks you're doing when you do that at that scale. So that is my theory, and it's something they can track, right?
Yeah.
So definitely something to keep an eye on. Is it possible to move an SAB to a new city when an address in the new city is added to the listing if there's an office? So yes, you definitely can in this case. If you're not planning on hiding the new address, it does work. Darren highlighted this in this video. It worked until he removed the address.
Yep.
Oh, here's a good one. How do you handle the removal of a negative Google review that was not written by a first party when Google already denied the appeal?
So how do you prove it was not a first party customer?
It has to be in the review
Google
tag.
will not accept any argument you try to present. You have no proof of this. Maybe they used their wife's account to leave the review. Maybe they used some other account. There's no way to know if that person was actually a customer of your business, and Google will not get into that debate with you because you can't prove it. And so you are out of luck. How do you handle it? It's pretty tough. You can report it. You can try the different options for reporting it. You can just keep hammering the reporting tool, and maybe one day you'll strike gold. But I think that it's pretty tough.
I think in this case, people focus too much on the fact that they've got one negative review, right?
Yeah.
So it's not the end of the world, and it's gonna happen. Just deal with it. Make sure you answer the negative review in a very professional way. I've seen some atrocious answers, but it's just crazy.
Yeah.
So just deal with it professionally. Make sure you get new 5 stars or whatever, and that's about it. So it will be drowned into the positive reviews. That's it. It's just, there's no need to have a 5 out of 5 star review rating. It sounds the wrong message anyway. Nobody's perfect. So just, don't get your knickers in a twist, as we say in England.
Knickers in a twist. Yeah.
I will say too as well, sometimes these aren't actually against Google's guidelines. Even their guidelines says this. What it means is, like, if somebody's mean to Luke and then he gets me and Darren to go leave negative reviews, like, that's not supposed to happen. But there are legitimate cases where, for example, if it's like your kid that had an experience and you leave the review, Google's not likely to remove it because the kid can't actually leave a review itself or himself. So there's lots of cases where it's fine. And they also have to be super explicit in the review. It's like, oh, this guy was rude to Luke, my friend, and it wasn't me. And if they say that, then usually they'll remove it. Okay, I want to ask you guys some quick questions here. What is actually going to be working as a strategy? So when we're talking about 2026 and what you're doing for your clients to help improve their rankings or improve their traffic and leads from Google, what are some of the go-to strategies? Maybe list 3 that you are going to be focusing more on than you did in 2025. Darren, I'm going to start with you.
A review strategy, definitely moving the needle big time in the local packs and in the local services ads. Another lead generation strategy we're really focusing on in 2026 is local services ads. So that is a big thing. Like, you've got to really focus on it. And I would say the other one is really improving website content. And we're doing this both. It's almost like we should have been doing this all along, but really thinking about entity SEO and writing our content, using things like query fan out to figure out what should be talked about on this service page, and then building those service pages in a new way. Content freshness is another thing. So I think I'm on number 4 now, but content freshness, keeping that content fresh and updating it with this up, that's a strategy that really seems to cause pretty quick jumps and improvements in rankings by just maintaining those service pages, optimizing them, and improving them. I'm going to give an internal links. I'm sorry, I like 5. I got 5. Better internal linking, better site structure too.
I agree with all of those things. Luke, what about you? Anything to add?
I think I'd like to emphasize on the content freshness a little bit more. I think that works a treat. I've noticed that recently, actually, on one of my client sites. It was one of those cases where you built the pages a while ago and you let them run and they were ranking well, and then suddenly the traffic starts dropping. It's not getting any more leads, and you think, I need to refresh the content here. And then as I started doing that on a weekly basis, you could see that suddenly the traffic started to move up, and I just updated the pages. And sure enough, I've used the help of ChatGPT with that to say, hey, where do you see there are gaps in my content? How can I improve that? So that's definitely sped up the process and helped that particular website to rank higher. So I think content freshness is super important, but also the quality of it. So you get, you appear in search results on ChatGPT or other AI tools. So content is still going to play a massive factor. And then I think that's a big issue that many website owners have. They've created a website and they just leave it. You need to continue feeding the beast, right? And that takes me to the next segue, which is video. Video content is super important. So I would encourage anyone and everyone to just document what they do through videos and target multiple platforms on the back of it, whether it's their website or YouTube or TikTok, which are my go-to platforms, because that's where you're going to get the best rewards. And it's going to take some time, some getting used to, but you'll see a lot of benefits. The other thing I would also focus on is how you track the success of what you're doing. And unless you know what's working, then you can't really focus your effort on something specific. So we've mentioned many times across this webinar that, your local map pack is probably not going to be as efficient as it was. So make sure that you track all the results and focus exclusively or mostly on the conversion and the leads, right? This is where, so forget rankings. Rankings will play a part, but this is not where you're going to have clarity. It's all about where are your leads coming from, okay? And then if they're dwindling away, what is it that you need to do in order to mitigate that? And the last thing is, your Google business profile will be more important than ever. So make sure you've got everything logged down, publish videos on that if you need to. Make sure that you've got images showing before, after, all of that, because people will still go and visit. So don't underestimate the value of that either. So that these are the 3 areas where I think you should focus your efforts on.
Yeah, mine, I mean, honestly, a lot of mine were the same. So for content specifically, we have been interviewing clients. I feel like that is necessary. The days of SEOs writing content for their clients. I mean, we are not experts on the business and the business type, and we're not going to come up with anything unique that's not already on the internet. And I think that's the thing that we need to try and get out of small businesses is think about the topics and things that you are seeing recently that maybe don't exist already online. What trends are you seeing? What stories? That type of stuff. The more unique, the better. We also built an internal review tool to focus on reviews so that we could actually give our clients targets to hit every month based on what their competitors are doing. So if, all their competitors are getting 20 reviews a month and they're getting 10, they're falling behind like fast.
Smart.
So
Did Noah build that?
Yes, Noah did build that.
Good job, Noah. That's a good one. I love that.
Yeah. It wasn't something that existed anywhere. I'm like, well, we should be
I haven't seen that before. That's smart.
Yeah. I didn't publish it because I refuse to be a SaaS company, but that's something that we're using just to get benchmarks. And then social media would be my third. We are starting to package that in. The two platforms we're starting with is Reddit and YouTube because we have seen the most overlap in SEO benefits as well as social benefits. And it's also like two platforms that we're well versed in now after doing them for ourselves.
Yep. And when you say Reddit, are you talking about the business owner creates their own subreddit or the business owner engages in their industry?
Engages in their industry. I think having your own subreddit, that's a big undertaking. I can tell you. So maybe we'll get to that point for our clients, but at this point, it's just engaging and watching for threads that mention your business and things like that.
What do you use to monitor Reddit?
Actually, Reddit has their own internal tools that seem to be sufficient. Noah also built me one. So Noah built me a tool for that too. But Reddit Pro is inside the Reddit account. You can set up like terms to track. It is much better than Google Trends. Google Trends only will pick up on stuff that's like indexed and it doesn't pick up on everything. Or Google Alerts, sorry. But Google Reddit Pro, so they're pretty terrible. So inside Reddit Pro is it's on the left-hand side on the panel. It allows you to put in terms. All right, quickly, because we don't have much time left. So I'm going to make you stick to 3, Darren. What is the total waste of time in 2026? And I want you to actually talk about, don't say geotagging, but maybe tactics that you actually did use in the last 2 years that are just proving to be not effective anymore. What are you pulling back on?
Like nothing. That's the trouble. This question is a tough one for me because I'm like, everything that I've been doing for the last 10 years is still important. And so it's like, I haven't really changed my strategies much. I would say I've added stuff, but there's nothing that I've ever been like, this was totally useless. I'm not going to do it anymore. I would say, okay, I'll give you one. Local business schema. I'm like, there's just like no value in this. You don't need to do that. And actually sometimes you can cause problems with local business schema, which is you've changed your address, you've changed some of your NAP stuff, and you update your web page and you update your citations, and then Google keeps changing it back. And you're like, oh shoot, we forgot to change that hidden area, the schema. And so if you have schema on your website, it can sometimes cause problems. But I don't know. I don't really have anything that we were doing that worked great before and doesn't work great now.
I'm surprised you didn't say spam fighting. That was what I was expecting you to say. But.
I might have one more. I find that that those guest post links that you buy from guest post sellers, they used to work much better. And so we've got back on that. And I'll say nothing else.
Jordan Pierce loves your hate of schema because he has a license plate. I actually saw a picture of it the other day on Facebook.
Schema.
Yeah, it's great. Really funny. I'm sure the rest of the world's like, what the hell is that?
Yeah, exactly.
Luke, what are your 3 ones you're pulling back on?
One would be it goes to go back to the content creation and to stop creating content for the sake of it, like 5 tips for spring cleaning and stuff like that. That's a bit unnecessary. AI will do a much better job than you do, and you're not going to write anything that hasn't been written before. So churning out blog posts for the sake of churning out blog posts in the hope that you're going to get some leads, it's not going to work. So just don't do that. The other thing I would say is citations. We talked about citations. Don't go out and try to submit to hundreds of directories. Total waste of time. Just focus on the most important one. And the last one is kind of like something that you should focus on, and some things you should make sure you don't waste your time on. So let me be clearer. If you're trying to be found for specific keywords with high volume, make sure that the fulfillment of the process of that when you convert is on point, right? So make sure you answer the query quite quickly. Make sure that if someone is asking you for a quote, you get back to them quickly. If someone posts a review, then you respond quickly. All of that will matter. So don't waste your time trying to rank for keywords if you're not able to fulfill the follow-up process of that. So that to me will work very well for word of mouth kind of strategy. It's super important.
Well, I know we're at time. They left me like 3 seconds to share
Sorry.
my 3. So it's okay. It's okay. You had more than 3 again. Mine would be link building with keyword-rich anchor text. That is getting nailed by Google. Like, I mean,
Okay,
they are
good one.
nailing
Yeah.
sites that are using that. And especially small businesses. We've seen a few. I did a video on the Sterling Sky YouTube channel talking about a client of ours that got hit by the August spam update because he had a bunch of these links built 5 years ago, which is wild. And caught up to him. And I explained how I clarified that was the root cause. I would also say focusing on ranking is something that we are going to be doing less of next year, because ranking is getting more and more convoluted and less of a signal that you're doing well. And my third would be SEOs writing content instead of the actual business writing the content. So those are my 3. We have a lot of questions we didn't get to. I want to make sure you guys get your answers. So here's what you should do. This is going to end in a few seconds. Go to either Ranking Academy, Sterling Sky, or Whitespark's YouTube channel. Put your question there, and we will answer it on YouTube after. So that way everyone gets their questions answered. Sorry, Darren, I just gave you a bunch of homework, but
yeah,
yeah. I'm like just speaking for you. This will be streamed at all 3 of those channels, so you should see the video replay there. I know we covered a lot. Thank you guys so much for your time and for joining us, and hopefully get to do another fun one of these next year.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This was always fun.
Thank you, everybody. And